Why do they act surprised you don't want to be friends after the divorce? Like, you spend a year trying to work on your marriage while they keep cheating. Divorce is 84 days from being final. STBX is surprised I don't want to have family outings and hang out all together with the kids because you're the one that wanted to work on things. Is it just that they don't accept any responsibility for what they've done, so it just doesn't process as to why you'd say you have no intention of being BFFs forever when all is said and done? I'm so sick of her telling me she loves me. Actions speak louder than words. I love you. That's why I've behaved the way I have. You don't love me. That's why you've behaved the way you have. Cheaters want everyone friends after, so that they can lie to third parties about how their infidelity is all forgiven. No hard feelings. All friends. No harm done. They rewrite history too. So be prepared to learn how the divorce was all your fault. This is exactly what it is. My ex-wife lured me onto her FB into pleasant loving exchanges so she could tell everyone behind my back that I was a monster and controlling her still even after the divorce. But in my head, in the clouds mind state, I thought she actually wanted to be friends and felt that way. Nope. She's off somewhere telling people I'm stalking her. LOL, she actually get me on the phone and be like, you should post something to me. Here. I'll post something to you. You post back. In the meantime, she's told everyone I just can't get over her. I just can't let her have her own life. There I am. Always. Holding her back. They're good at this. Yeah, mine said I never thought it would go like this. When I told her I would only speak to her over text message, I said, what did you expect? After lying and manipulating me for the last 10 years. She tried to write into the parenting agreement that we would be together for all the kids' birthdays. And even after I got that taken out, she still expected me to get together with her crazy family and her new family she made up with her affair partner. Hell no. She really had it in her head that we were going to be good friends. Psycho. Totally. My STBX had a Tinder account while we were still fully married, not yet separated, and now that we are getting a divorce he's trying to convince me to commit to a family vacation this summer and another next spring break. Now he's making me feel guilty for tearing the family apart, but he's the one that was cheating. I don't want to spend any time with his lying ass. For my ex, it was brand management. Even flat out told me that it would make him look bad to divorce me because everyone liked me. His last ditch proposal was that we would split up, but stay best friends that occasionally sleep together. LOL. No, I was waiting throughout this whole thing to hear her say the words open marriage. My mill expressed that my STBX had mentioned it, but I'm glad I've made it this far without her dropping that little ditty on me. Although, it hasn't saved me from living in an inconsensual open marriage. Truthfully, they don't understand the deep emotional pain they cause. They don't know how stressed and how traumatized you are. They don't realize they are the trigger for that pain. They don't realize that the only way you begin to heal is with time and distance. And that's because they lack empathy for what they caused. Yeah, I see that every day in our interactions. If I say it's hard to act like things are normal, she just goes into angry at me, angry at the kids, angry at everyone mode. This is why you have to implement the grey rock strategy. Don't play her game. She intentionally draws you down. Keep communication only on logistics. Ignore every other comment about anything else. If she tries to draw you in, say I'm not discussing it. If she keeps talking, walk away. If that doesn't work, minimize face-to-face time and consider using a parenting app to communicate. My ex-husband was super offended I didn't want to keep his last name. Still to this day 8 years later, 6 years post, DD doesn't understand why we can't be best friends. We share a child he sees for an hour twice a year, but that's it. They can be so delusional. Man, this takes on many forms. If she can get you to be friends, it appears to the outside world that you mutually decided to split. They also want to keep you on the back burner. With you it seems to be working. Right now, she thinks she can walk right back in and just consider this an episode. Yeah, after 9 months of trying to work on things, this isn't an episode. I'm sad my marriage is ending. and I'm sad the life I thought I had was a lie, but that's all. Are you familiar with the concept of radical acceptance, or it is what it is? Basically, you accept life as it is, on its own terms. When you don't accept it, which doesn't seem to be the case with you prolong your suffering. Note, accepting is not agreeing. You are simply accepting that it happened, and it's in the past, and you can't change it. You can change your perspective, but not the fact that it happened. Again, acceptance does not mean you condone or are okay with what happened. You, unlike the SDBX, seems to have a firmer grasp on the reality of the situation. Be vigilant. Eventually it will sink in that her life has changed irrevocably, and that you no longer play the same role as you once did. You seem to be well on your way to the next phase of your life. Embrace it. You've only lost a cheater while gaining your new life. See Chumplity. Be careful of attempts by the ex to ramp up communications, or if that fails, trigger you. For some, negative attention is better than no attention. Best of luck to you. Cheaters who still want to be friends are in a state of euphoria. Having sex outside of the marriage for some is exciting, but that they'd rather continue to keep because it makes them feel so good. Since they feel so good, you should feel good as well, and that is through friendship. I still don't understand how a person could refuse to accept responsibility for their literal behavior. It just grates on me how she acts like everything is okay when she's burning down our family without care. It's a favorite saying amongst firemen that the arsonist is generally the one who hangs around watching it all burn whilst also trying to help put the fire the one they caused out. Cheaters are the same, and it's all about assuaging their guilt at the damage that they caused. It's why they get all but hurt when their offers to help fix the problem are rebutted. In their minds they did the right thing, so of course, if it doesn't go the way their own internal thought processes played it out, then it's not because of them that it doesn't work. And sadly, even saying in as firm a way as possible we co-parent and that's it. No friendship or best buds ever again just never seems to gel with them. Because guaranteed that, once your papers are signed, sealed and delivered, she'll be in your ear about everything that goes on in her life to try and keep herself in yours. Everyone lives in La La Land and thinks their lives are the movies. She wants to remain friends so she can keep everything in her control, that way she gets everything she wants. It's wild how these people think. Really effing wild. LOL. My ex had me arrested twice. Tried for a third. Once the dust settled and I regained 50/50 custody. She acts like we should be buds. Meanwhile, I don't get back the clothes I send with my daughter. She is not complying with the settlement agreement. She brings different food and clothes to my daughter on my days. My ex still doesn't work since she says she can't afford to. Meanwhile again, we have been divorced 2 years after a 2-year marriage. I owned a house now for 15 years. The ex was never on that property. She did have me sign a nice SUV that I owned free and clear into her name to just in case I died, and she signed it back to herself only the next day. She is still living in that house with 3 adult children of hers and their new pets and lovers. Due to the settlement agreement, I promised not to accelerate eviction or foreclosure. She agreed she was moving out soon 2 years ago. My ex could never wrap her head around the fact that I never wanted to be friends, despite her inability to be honest about day. Like, why in the heck would you care enough about me to be my friend when you clearly didn't give a flying rat's ass what I thought in the relationship? Also, why would I ever want to be friends with someone who made the conscious decision to betray my trust? Never gonna happen. My ex made a lot of efforts to cheat meeting up with his engaged ex, talking on the phone with her, looking up escorts, and setting up an appointment at a brothel. Luckily, we weren't married, but when I moved out of the apartment, he was so chill about it, thinking that we'll be talking again in another day or so. But I didn't let that happen. He was floored by the fact I put zero effort into communication after what he's done. Emails after texts, after Instagram stalking. I'm getting therapy and becoming a better person, or I hope we can still be friends someday. I told him to duck off and haven't heard from him since. They don't accept any responsibility for what they've done, so it just doesn't process as to why you'd say you have no intention of being BFFs forever when all is said and done. This is the way of the narcissist. It is not your friendship she desires so much as your submission and compliance. The only thing she finds surprising is that she no longer has leverage or control over you. I was cordial to my ex-wife solely for the purpose of including her in the rearing of our child. She mistook the professionalism and courtesy as friendship. She is mistaken. We are co-workers rearing our child, and even to that end, she's the lazy co-worker that sits back and shows him off as her progeny, while I do all the dirty work behind the scenes to get him into the best schools, to and from activities, etc. My ex-wife said the same BS. I was hopeful, naive, but I quickly realized that I don't want anything to do with her. It hurt too much. It made no sense that we would be divorcing due to her choices, yet we would maintain a relationship similar to the one that we had. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I had never even dated someone like that. Was completely surprised to learn I'd married someone like that. We'd been together physically just 2 weeks before she disappeared for 3 days. Had no idea where she was. No warning she was leaving the home. And she popped up a week later in text and said, to put it simply, I want a divorce. LOL, like nothing had ever happened. Like we hadn't just been living together with her talking about renewing vows and taking a honeymoon 21 days before that text. That's a kind of crazy I hope to never encounter again in life. It's inhuman. She did the same thing. Just went on like nothing had happened. Like we'd never been married. Like she'd never cheated in life. And now we were gonna be best buddies. Right. Having affairs and serially cheating behind your back are abuse. The dishonesty, the lies, the manipulation, the cowardice, the selfishness. It's astounding. These people need to be treated as criminals. Because only people with a criminal mindset can do these abusive, degenerate things to people that truly love them. But, I said I was sorry. I told you I love you. I promise you that it meant nothing. Perhaps they believe this bullshit and somehow feel offended that you reject their incredible vulnerability. Mine liked the part where I was a puppy dog that was desperate for her affection. One day I had enough and cut all contact. Next thing she was shocked and hurt. And a month later I was gentle absolved from my church involvements. Her doing, I took it for what it was. Changed my life by making decisions that did not consider her perceived opinion. After all this, she could not understand why we couldn't be friends. Sounds like she has accepted the divorce, but she has not accepted that she has to look like the bad guy, be the bad guy as the bad guy, and people are about to call her out on it. She wants to save face, rewrite history and deflect blame. If you can still like her as the injured party, everyone should be able to still like her. I'm so sorry this has happened. Sounds painful. After reading every post you had posted, I'm trying to breathe. How on earth did you put up with all this bullshit? Your wife is a serial cheater. She would have kept doing this to you for eternity if you stayed married to her. No doubt she would be out practicing her craft infidelity and come home screaming at you and saying, where have you been? Thank God you came to your senses and divorced her. As for her app, I would have threatened his worthless ass with bodily harm and carried it out if he even attempted to disrupt my family again. You need to think about your children. You would physiologically damage them by keeping them exposed to that environment. I do applaud you for going no contact and declining her questionable invite. That probably not gone well. A year from now you'll be thanking God she is out of your life. Good luck. You have to understand, OP, that cheaters live in their own version of reality, and it's virtually unshakable. This is the one where they are the victim and you, yes, in this instance, that would be you. OP forced them to do unspeakable, to go to unimaginable lengths to save themselves. To admit to any variation of this would mean that they would have to take responsibility. The being friends thing doesn't work. There will always be one of the parties feeling aggrieved. It's them, the cheater, trying to show the world that they are the good guy and did the right thing. And the BS sucking shit through a straw. Maybe someday, down the road a little, when the raw pain has subsided, you might be able to attend a milestone event at the same time. College graduation of one of your kids. Birthday party of a grandchild. But friends, when they are still harvesting bits of you from the bus she threw you under. I don't think so. Good luck. I'm going through a divorce as well, and running into this same issue. My wife cheated, declared divorce, viciously sunk into me with personal attacks, threw out all our little token gifts from the past that we keep as memories, and is basically discarding me in whole. But at the same time as I go more and more grey rock, she's coming back and trying to do nice things like making me a drink or bringing me food, and keeps talking about how we can still be friends and great co-parents together. The niceness comes in waves. I'm playing along until the divorce is finalized, just because I don't want her to turn contentious. I think X wants to remain friends to retain your benefits, but not have to deal with the inconveniences of living with you. She probably wants you to be willing to pick up the kid and provide daycare whenever she feels like it. She probably wants you to come over and give her male comfort whenever it's convenient. The other day, when my SDBXW had the second COVID shot, she wasn't feeling well and had a panic attack in the middle of the night. She called my name loudly and asked me to lay in bed next to her and comfort her. I refused. I just gave her a trash can to throw up in and a non-dancetrine pill and left the room. I've recently learned a lot about the pervasiveness of narcissism through Dr. Amina's YouTube channel and others. I have the belief now that my wife is a covert narcissist, and maybe your ex is somewhere on the spectrum as well. Narcissists are insecure people who constantly need attention from others to validate and feel good about themselves. Otherwise, they will sink into depression because they view themselves as ugly, unlovable people. If your ex has this mentality, she probably wants the validation of your friendship to improve her internal feeling of self-worth. This action is called hoovering. Basically, don't fall for it. Grey rock. Ghost. She's just using you. Don't give her the validation. So okay, check this out. My SDBXW cheated on me with what I thought was my friend. I found out and left then. While separated, she slept with my best friend, trying to hurt me, I assumed, but didn't work. 2 nights ago she texts me talking about she thinks her BF is cheating on her with her best friend, and well, I said things like, well, I know how that feels, and when that was happening to me, LOL, it was like a karma pie. So I hope she eats hearty and gets full as she steps into that painful world she left me to die in. But I survived long enough to see justice served in the form of karma pie. Laughing my butt off. Get what you give, right? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.